Folks, welcome back. Today I'm taking a look at Adam McIntyre. I have just two questions about who Adam McIntyre is as a person, what he's here to do, that kind of thing, what spirit wants him to do. First, I'm going to do a grand Lenormand tableau, or a grand tableau, over what Adam is here on Earth to do. And then afterward, I want to see what he can do to have the best 20s he possibly can, okay? So I'm going to lay them out, and let's see what we get. Okay, right off the bat, I'm taking a look at these four cards up here. We've got the ring, the scythe. That's about having cycles to do with transformations, right? I associate this card with the Death Tarot card, which is the end of one era and the beginning of a new one. So I see him having some pretty consistent cycles with either reinventing himself, reinventing a situation, but I see him evolving pretty consistently right here. And also I see something evolving when it comes to some pretty major deceptions within the larger YouTube community. So Adam McIntyre is a drama channel for the moment, but later on, even, heating up in the present moment, he might be the kind of person to uncover all kinds of deceptions, and there's some real risk there. There's some risk that Adam could be legally attacked based on what he reveals, for instance, or what he discusses. We can kind of see what's going on with Sloan right now. As of this recording, Sloan's having some issues with Nick Carter, for instance. Sometimes a person feels hyper attacked when they're a public figure but being discussed in a public context. And I see Adam possibly being caught up in that. I see there are some risks to him continually exposing what's going on behind the scenes. Adam might be the kind of person to be, there's a painting called, it's a picture of Truth, the female personification of Truth coming out of a well, and I believe that she has a whip out of her in her hands, and she looks like she is screaming at the person who is the person who's looking at her. I might try to find that and pull that up here in just a second, but I feel that Adam is the kind of person to pull up those truths that nobody else wants to confront, but he will. His parents raised him to be an upstanding individual, and that's going to carry on throughout the rest of his life, throughout the rest of his career. Really neat stuff when it comes to the heart of his matter. We're asking, what is he here on Earth to do? It might not just be in the YouTube, the drama community kind of channel, kind of world, if you will. It might be to do with other things past just that, because he might be a truth seeker, not just when it comes to YouTube or to Twitch or Instagram or places like that. He's going to be a truth seeker when it comes to other things as well as he matures. When we take a look at his cards of fate, I see that his home life is very stable, right? I do see some confusion around something to do with a contract, a letter. There's some kind of written communication to do with his home that there is some confusion about here. There might be some things, some family secrets, for instance, that he might need to deal with. And as he pulls up truths and as he gives them to the public in whatever fashion he does, he might be pulling up family secrets. So a stable home life, but there also might be some really long-standing family secrets that have to do with something, some kind of agreement that maybe some blood relatives made before Adam was born, something that he had possibly made before his parents were born. Like, there's nothing that they can do about this, but Adam can talk about this. Adam can break generational curses. You know, Adam McIntyre and Rich Lux have something in common in that they are both highly favored, highly approved of, and they are here on Earth to break generational curses within their own families. Really, really neat stuff. I'm excited. Let's continue to, so we're going to go from the past into the present and into the future. So, what is he here on Earth to do? Well, let's take a look at in the past. I can see some money being used in a very destructive fashion, and kind of quickly too. When it comes to sex in a powerful way, there was something here. You see how the rider appears alongside? Yeah, that's a sexual card and not a card of establishment. So, something got established relatively quickly when it came to sexuality. And unfortunately, I'm going to pull up Colleen Ballinger's name here because she's the one who sent Adam lingerie when he was like, I don't know, like a 16, 17, something like that. At the time, Colleen Ballinger was making Adam McIntyre be her social media, like her Twitter manager or something like that. And Colleen kind of used Adam at that particular moment. I'm sure that she has regrets about how all that went down. I'm sure that they've gotten it all sorted out today. But that's really where things started for Adam, is with Colleen kind of doing a destructive power play, if you will, with a little bit of sexual stuff that just really makes us feel really disgusting. I can see here with the writer that it was kind of a off-the-cuff, absolutely no thought went into that, but it's kind of ironic because it set off an era of Adam, who is a genuinely thoughtful person and who thinks carefully through things before he says them, and if he screws up, he apologizes humbly. He's a neat person, right? So he comes from a destructive start, if you will, but through no fault of his own. And, you know, I'm wondering if there aren't some echoes in that Colleen Adams situation that aren't part of this heart of the matter, this generational curse. I wonder if there aren't some echoes between these two situations that Adam's going to continue to uncover and mature, like this was his inciting event. Again, through no fault of his own, somebody else did this. So I see him as being on a journey where he makes some very deliberate, distinctively deliberate choices about how he's going to navigate through his emotions. What kind of emotional maturity is he going to have, for instance? So this is about loyalty, about obedience. Adam is a deeply loyal, and he can be obedient in the correct situation, right? If he has an amazing person to look up to, of course, he's going to be loyal to that kind of individual. But here, he is loyal to his intuition. If he, and I'm not talking about intuition in the way that we Tarot Lenormand readers talk about, watchers, I should say. We tarot readers and watchers talk about intuition. He might not think of it in the metaphysical pagan kind of sense, but he pays attention to his gut and he follows it. He stays loyal to it. And this is a series of decisions that his parents instilled into him. His parents instilled confidence into how he thinks, about how he feels, so that when he makes a judgment call, it doesn't matter how old he is. Some people might call him too young to be able to saying that kind of stuff. And I couldn't disagree more. His parents, he has a moral compass that is to be admired. He's making educated choices come through. Adam, he's making educated, wise choices. It doesn't matter his age. Okay, yeah. Now this is interesting imagery. We've got the scythe appearing alongside the tree. And what do we have here in the heart of the matter? We have the scythe. This is someone who is not at all hesitant about cutting their losses and running if they absolutely have to. If that's for their good health, Adam will cut his losses and he'll run. And that's just incredibly admirable, once again. But this is part of his journey, is learning when to say, I'm cutting this individual off because they are destructive to my health, emotional, mental, spiritual, all that kind of good stuff. He's excellent at this kind of stuff. Now, I do see him in the past, shortly after after the Calling Lingerie event, I do see him like having to grow as a result of the blowback, all the mess that went on that possibly Colleen didn't handle as well as she could have, and he had to handle a lot of the fallback. I see that he chose to do a lot of maturing in that particular moment. High-vibing individual. There's a lot to be proud of in this individual. This is a journey that's full of I already know what this is. It's landing on the clover. So that can be about risk depending on context, but right here I just see nothing but reward. Rewards for the future that he's accumulating for himself. If he continues at this pace, even though it appears a little bit in the past, well, of course, he's just going to continue to grow a wonderful foundation, a wonderful building for himself, if you will. Now, here is where he appears. Again, this is more in the past, but we're getting closer to the present. I see, once again, I described earlier about how he's a very stable and emotionally stable, loyal individual. I'm getting a little bit, he may not actually have Scorpio energy anywhere in his astrological birth chart, but I'm getting this kind of very protective energy, like if he has a valuable friend or a family member even, he is not cutthroat per se, but he will come for that harmful individual if they hurt his family member or friend, for instance. Absolutely the kind of person to go to bat and protect those kinds of people in his life. And I get that he's surrounding himself with people who would do the same for him. I see a really stable individual who is gradually changing himself. Now, again, this is in the past. So something with this stork card is that the stork goes back to migrate and goes back home to lay eggs and raise a family and go back to migrate every year, but it's a little bit different every year. So Adam is being consistent when it comes to being a good, stable, loyal, awesome person who follows his intuition, is balanced when it comes to his emotions, thinks through things carefully. This is gradually growing up, literally, gradually maturing at a pace that is comfortable and good for him. We're not rushing anything. We're not too slow. We're at the perfect pace is what I'm getting. It's really, really good stuff. So this is interesting because this is about Adam exclusively, not necessarily about the people in his life. I'm going to say that this is his masculine and his feminine aspects of himself. So if you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you know that I talk about the Emperor and the Empress being the perfect balance within, being perfectly balanced within a person. It can be different for everybody. Like that particular balance is going to look different for everybody. But ultimately, to be your most high-vibing individual, both the Emperor and the Empress must be upright and in balance together. Ideally, they should be appearing on the Lover's card together to say they aren't just in balance together. They are on the same page. They're operating beautifully. And I'm getting that with these two cards. If I bump the mic, I'm so sorry. Here we go. That with them facing each other, that I'm getting that Adam is in balance when it comes to this masculine and feminine aspect, these masculine and feminine aspects of themselves. Partly due to his upbringing, but also partly to how he has chosen to respond to these inciting events, how he has chosen to mature when the universe presented him opportunities to be low vibing. Adam took the high vibing opportunities. This is about exposing some deceptions going on behind the scenes at home. Not all of Adam's family members are cool, high-vibing people. Not all of his passed away family members were high-vibing, cool people. And there may be some generational debts that specifically the feminine aspect of Adam is going to feel out and feel sensitive towards. Unfortunately, I'm getting sexual assault, some kind of sexual destruction within the family that Adam's going to find out about. And it's going to be his job to discuss this, expose it, and ask forgiveness for those female family members or even male family members who may have been violated. This is going to be a deeply emotional aspect for him. Yep. Isn't that interesting? House, damn, okay. Yeah, all about the family. There are some really deep, family chains is what I'm getting. Deep family connections. Like this is embedded deep within the DNA, deep within their genetic pool. This is going back, and I don't know, I should educate myself a whole lot more. I don't know how Britain continues to oppress Ireland, but I'm getting that there is some of that British-Irish oppression going on with this particular family dynamic. It's a little bit more vague. It feels way old, like 1800s, like 1880s old. 1500s. This is going back, I'm sure that Adam's family is a very old, an old established one, in that particular area. So this might go back centuries, honestly. But it's I'm looking at a chain being broken with Adam. There's stuff that gets looped on through Adam's, through generations of Adam's family. And with Adam in particular, and with perhaps some cousins of his, I'm seeing some chain links breaking because they choose to do it. Really awesome stuff. So, continue to talk about Adam himself specifically and what he's here on Earth to do. Yeah, public reckoning. So, I said earlier, something to do with the YouTube community. That might be where it starts. But I see, in the present, and it might be that we don't necessarily see on the surface much of this. But definitely underneath the surface, whether he's working directly with Spirit or whether Spirit is working through him, I should say, there's still stuff being pulled up, and Adam's an important part of this. He's necessary. He's a high-vibing individual, so he has made himself an important part of the machine, if you will, that exposes these people, other low-vibing people, for who they really are. And can we talk about how we expose low-vibing people? Or I should say Spirit uses high-vibing people sometimes to expose low-vibing people sometimes in order to encourage that low-vibing person onto a high-vibing path. Because it's possible for that individual to be high-vibing. They just need to start making the daily choices to do that. And that's daily small choices. That's what we have going on right here with Adam. He made small daily choices that accumulated to making him into the person that he is today, and that are accumulating now to making him into the person that he will be in the future. So I do see some risks, of course, like I would expect to see. Yeah, there's going to be some real difficult risks when it comes to exposing these people. Family channels. I pulled up that card, and that is about family channels. You know what? I'm really sensing that family channels are going through a difficult moment through 2023, 2024, and possibly through 2025. Spirit is shaking them up, a reckoning. Literally what this card means. One of the big words associated with the scythe is a reckoning. Transformation, death. The end of an era, the beginning of a new one. I wonder if Adam isn't going to come across some information that he and a few other YouTubers have access to. Maybe the other YouTubers kind of shy away from talking about it, and Adam doesn't. Adam gets angry, righteously angry, gets filled with the anger of the Spirit, even though he might not be religious specifically, but he gets angry with the Spirit, and he starts talking about what these families are doing to their kids behind the scenes, and he just blows shit up. Yep, family tree. I knew it. It's going to be family channels, y'all. You might be watching some of these family channels, actually, and it might be the crossover of the century to see Adam talking about some of these families. He's going to be angry about some of the things that he finds out. I'm seeing dominance. There are going to be some people, he's going to be confused. It's going to be shocking at how deep the puppet strings are around these family channels. Do you know, I was doing some research into one particular family channel, and I saw on their Instagram what looked to be like an interesting email address, and I went to the website associated with that email address. The family is being managed by a talent agency. So they give this feel of a loving family who treasures their kids and gives their kids all kinds of things, all kinds of food and all that kind of stuff. But it is absolutely they're child stars. It's a momager kind of thing. It's absolutely a Hollywood type deal where the parents get money from these kids. Okay. Amanda Bynes and, oh my God, Jeanette McCurdy and all those child stars who throughout the years have had to deal with their parents' abuse and deal with their parents, and Britney Spears, and having their money and their resources sapped away by parents who are utterly selfish. I'm getting on a little bit of a tangent here, but that's the kind of person that Adam's going to be exposing. And he's going to be hunting them down he's going to be hunting like a bloodhound. He's going to be on their asses like a bloodhound. He is going to be chasing their asses. Look at this. We're going to have a knighting kind of situation. There's so much risk that goes into him exposing all this deception, but it is so necessary. Because he might be the only one brave enough to do it. He might be the only one of the only few people who is not willing to mince words when it comes to what is actually going on behind the scenes. Adam is willing to be demonetized to talk about what is going on behind the scenes with these kids, because what is going on with these kids is more important than his money. That might be why it is more convenient for him to be in Europe right now. And the last time I checked, I'm not watching too carefully, okay? But the last time I checked, I saw that he was playing around Paris, France or something like that, okay? Don't quote me on that, but there is some safety in being back home with this super supportive family environment that he has now, right? Because this is going to be hard on him. I do see him being emotionally upset, and of course you would be when you're exposing things that are happening to kids at the hands of adults that should care and be giving them all kinds of wonderful things, giving them the childhood that the kid deserves. It's going to tear Adam up. It's going to tear him up. It's going to crush him. You know, I'm coming back to this particular situation here with Colleen and Adam, the inciting event that made us all aware of who Adam was to begin with. What Colleen did, that effect of an adult doing something to a child, and I understand that Adam was 15, 16, I know that's an inexperienced young adult. I don't care. He's 16, right? He was still a child. There was that kind of, let's do this funny thing to this child so that I can get laughs, clicks, views, money, that kind of thing. It's this idea that adults are free to use children as capital, as social capital, because the children are voiceless, they're more malleable, they're more trusting, you can use them. And Adam's going to be growing out from that inciting event. That was a theme that, whether he cares for the motif or not, that is a theme that will continue, that continues to echo into what he's doing and talking about still today. Adam has so much uncovering work to do. Yeah, these are clouds that have been around as long as adults have been taking advantage of kids. What the fuck, man? Adam has his work cut out for him. Let me tell you what. we're continuing to head on now into, this is the present, or this is what is heating up now in the present. We are headed into the future. We've got some conflict that he's going to be uncovering, looks like. Yep, Fox. So, selfishness. When it comes to these family channels, there's probably quite a bit. There is all kinds of selfishness that he's like utter, total abject selfishness when it comes to parents who should be behaving like parents. I'm seeing a tremendous amount of conflict. Yeah, like it's going to be confusing. I'm seeing him having to reach out to lawyers, to therapists around this time. It's going to be explosive, and he's going to have to do quite a bit of recovering with professionals after this. And I think that would be reasonable to expect of anyone. This would be huge. Yep, exposure. Look at this. Exposing drama, exposing specifically a contract. So I've said a contract now. If you're working with a talent agency, I'm sure that you have got a 4,000-page contract that you can never begin to read. I'm wondering if Adam isn't going to read that contract. Not literally, but I'm wondering if he isn't going to bring out some kind of dirt that is black and white writing, shows absolutely what what these family, these agencies, these management companies do to these children in order to make a quick buck off of them. Pulling up all kinds of really nasty secrets. People are going to be pissed at him. They're going to be angry at him. He's going to be angry at them. He's going to need to find ways to relieve his anger in really, really positive ways. Family is going to help a lot. But I'm getting some real conflagrations, like some real fires around this. Like, it's going to be emotional. Now, I saw right here when I was laying out cards, this is the community beats up Adam verbally, through the comments, that kind of thing. And it revolutionizes how he chooses to educate himself in the future. It revolutionizes how he chooses to mature himself, quite literally. Yep, that lands on the coffin. So he's not going to be very open about this. You know what? He might be just talking about this with a romantic partner, mom, dad, a therapist, that kind of thing. But it's going to be a very quiet maturity that not many people are going to be, like, he's going to be a rare individual by the time this is over, right? By the time this reading has been fulfilled and the future is now the past. By the time all that is done, he is going to be a radically different individual. He's going to be heavily changed. I'm getting this is going to lead up to around the time of his Saturn return. And by the way, he's doing a great job of already in advance of his Saturn return, he's doing a great job of learning those lessons and becoming an amazing individual. I want to emphasize, if Adam is watching this, the universe is so freaking proud of you, okay? Keep it up. The universe is so thrilled to see you going the direction you're going, okay, Adam? So let's continue to talk about the future. He's going to have some difficulties when it comes to love in these social circumstances. It's going to revolutionize just how people look at him. He's going to be talked about in like People magazine, like he's going to become more of a household name just because more people have grown up with YouTube, right? He's going to become far more famous than what YouTube can support. Like, he's going to be spilling out into other platforms because he's going to be that big. People are going to be discussing what he discovers through these family channels for a long time. It's going to be big news because I suspect that some of these families are going to get sued. Adam might be not like in the courtroom for that kind of thing, but I suspect that they're going to use some of the material that Adam generates in those cases, possibly, okay? By the way, take everything here with a grain of salt. Everything here is allegedly for entertainment purposes only. I'm like these are patterns on cards. These are based on my interpretation, okay? So, I do see him having difficulties in love, kind of destructive. They might need to watch out for people who take advantage of his very loving nature, if you will. Okay. So when these difficulties become overwhelming, it might be because there's a person in his inner circle who is making things difficult for him. And in those circumstances, Adam is going to have to let go of that inner circle person. Yeah, he might discover some things about his inner circle that he's kind of like, I didn't know that about you and I want nothing to do with you. And I suspect that's probably going to be very devastating for him. Yep. There might be some lies circulating within his inner circle that he thought he could trust those people. And again, this is in the future after this really starts to, you know what, there might be some family members that Adam exposes and they try to get revenge and plant some people, or they might like turn some people within Adam's circle against him. And that might be part of their vengeful, petty bullshit. Okay. Heads up to Adam. I pray that he sees this coming from a mile off, okay? I'm praying that he sees this and can protect his heart as much as he possibly can, okay? So, he is going to be a much older, sadder, wiser individual once this is all done. I see a heavily burdened individual who might be taking a faith a little bit more seriously. I don't know if he's going to be Christian, Buddhist, or pagan or something like that. But I see him as being a deeply burdened individual and possibly a bit isolated. And this is where it gets just a little bit sad. I'm wondering if his stardom if his fame isn't what separates him, and at the same time is the dead albatross around his neck. Could be a huge burden for him. It might feel like there aren't any good people around Adam and he doesn't know where to turn to, and he says to himself that he would rather be alone and be the high-vibing individual than ever be around low-vibing people and have to go through their bullshit. That might be actually part of his Saturn return. I'm getting 28. I'm getting that this reading goes up to when he's around 28 years old. So is he like 21, 22, right? Like right about now? I forget how old he is. But this is going to last a number of years, right? Or what we have going on from this point forward is going to last a number of years. And I'm wondering if he isn't going to be really sore in the heart by the time this is all done. I am absolutely praying that Adam has the resources around him to feel good about where he is in life by the time he gets to his Saturn return or gets to 28. So I asked Spirit about whether I should take a look at Adam's Saturn return, and she said that it was too early, but I can ask if there's anything else that we can cover here. Spirit says, let's take a look at the sun. So here Adam is exposing, what did I say? A crossroads, a choice. Somebody made a choice to do something, abuse a child in some particular way. Maybe this is across multiple families. Maybe multiple children have been abused. Maybe multiple parents, maybe multiple family members, crew members, or whatever have been abusing these children. Adam is going to be uncovering the social circumstances that have provided coverage for these horrifying circumstances, truly. It's going to be he's going to be talking about people who are extreme, uniquely bad people who should have never been parents, who should have never had animals. Like they should not be taking care of anything. He's going to be exposing those kinds of people. Now, we were talking earlier about there being some risk in exposing them, and I still see that here. Because a lot of those awful individuals, those, like, let's say, for instance, Family Channel parents, a lot of those parents just thrive off of drama. That's where they get their money. You know what? In this case, the lily is white and is not a red lily. The red lily would symbolize sex, and the white lily in this case establishes it symbolizes being established, let's say, in your career, your family life, that kind of thing. So this is a long established tradition with these particular families. It's how they operate. It's how they grew up. It's their MO. Like, That's how they grew up, and so that's how they pass it on to their kids. It's extremely destructive. Yeah. We were talking about how the love in these social circumstances is almost non-existent. I wouldn't even call this love. I mean, I don't know that I call it love. If it's that dysfunctional, if it's so destructive, it's not love. And we were talking about earlier about how these are hidden underneath the surface, and about how Adam is going to be uncovering those kinds of things. So that is headed into the future. That's a complex situation. So, folks, something about grand tableaus is that you could honestly read them for days if you really, really wanted to. What I did right there was a 9-card portrait spread, and anytime you go around this particular area, you can make 9 card spreads of each one of these cards. So literally you could read this spread for days if you wanted. Spirit has asked me to move on into a Celtic cross about how Adam can have the very best possible set of 20s that he can, especially with all of this in mind, okay? Let me do a little bit of cleaning up and I'll be right back. Okay, y'all. Let's shuffle. What can Adam do to have the very best possible 20s that he can? Mama says shuffle them back in. And I call my spirit guide Mama, okay? Earlier I almost said Mama, and that might have been causing some confusion to those folks watching. Okay. Mama says to take one from the bottom. That's the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Now that's interesting. His advice for his best possible 20s is to suspend work on something. Suspend work on anxiety. So, if this were upright and I saw these 2 cards together, I would say that an individual could be working their way towards some anxiety-related diseases, such as some heart-related conditions, just stress and anxiety-related diseases. I see Adam possibly developing the kind of stress that people develop when they have like high-intensity jobs that require everything of the individual, bleed the individual dry. And I'm wondering if there isn't some risk for Adam in his 20s to be accumulating some stress that blows up in his 30s or in his late 20s, or we'll just say his early 30s. I'm feeling like he needs to watch out for his health. And when it comes to Pentacles, that makes perfect sense. That's about the things that make our physical existence as comfortable as possible. Adam needs to seriously watch out for his health if he's to have the best possible 20s, because what he's dealing with is not going to be kind. It's going to be relentless. This is him uncovering some lies in the past. Some mistruths, if you want to call it that. So this is going to be deeply stressful for him. That's his past. He uncovered some lies in the past that are destructive to his health. Universe is asking him to relieve the anxiety now, to form habits now that are self-care in the best, like God tier self-care, okay? Now it's kind of interesting because now I've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse. There may be some investments that he wants to avoid making. There might be some investments in the future that if he wants to stay healthy, if he wants to be healthy and whole after he blows up these myths, after he blows up these generational curses, after he exposes these families, for instance. He is going to need to choose his investments wisely. There are going to be some things that he will do well to avoid, and some things that he's going to have to say, maybe put most of my eggs into that basket because it's healthiest for me. Queen of Cups. Tap into Queen of Cups, please, Adam. That is all about nourishing your emotions, saying, it's okay for me to feel attacked. It's okay for me to feel like I want to cry all day today. That's about saying it's okay to feel that way. It's okay for other people to feel that way too. It's a necessary part of the human existence. And if we feel it, we can then heal it, right? I can see Adam really benefiting a lot from this, and that might be also the kind of image that he affects to his audience. Remember how we had that anima card earlier facing into the animus card. Those were the male-female cards, male-female, air quotes, in the Grand Tableau deck. So he might have that particular image where he is a deeply emotional, protective individual who follows his intuition. If the gut says let's do it or don't do it, Adam goes with his gut in that particular case. His audience will see that. But his audience won't see the accumulating effect that it has on him. And underneath, he's going to be the kind of person who's just a righteous anger. Once again, I come back to this righteous anger. He is here to avenge the kids who cannot speak for themselves. He knows what it's like to grow up in a wonderful home, and he gets angry for the kids who don't have that wonderful thing that he got to have. Five of Pentacles is his advice card. Stay searching for the truth. There are some investments that are not worth making. Sometimes that church is not worth going into, and you need to move on to another church. That's the wrong building. That door is closed because you're not supposed to be in that building. You're supposed to be in another. There may be some research that Adam needs to find. He's supposed to stay hunting for the evidence that confirms what he knows to be the truth. These aren't just investments he shouldn't make. They're bad investments, and he's uncovering them. Family Channels made an awful gamble, and Adam is here to uncover them. He is going to be wandering from home to home, so to speak. It's in front of a building, right? So he's going to be going from building to building, knocking on their doors, and effectively saying, do you have any secrets that you need exposed? And they're going to try to keep their doors tightly shut, and they're not going to let him in. This card says, keep hunting to Adam. Keep going. 10 of Pentacles, external situation. So it's going to look like Adam on the surface, and to him, it is going to be this way. His external environment is all going to be about being in a stable, established family. It's amazing that he has such cool, supportive family members, honest to God, and I hope that he never lets go of them. Now, I wondered earlier about a marriage partner for Adam and any kids, anything like that. And Spirit's saying that's going to be later. We're going to get into that in his early 30s and something like that. Cool. But this is about his mom, dad, aunts, uncles, cousins, that kind of thing. For now and later on, it'll be about a romantic partner. But for his 20s, they're saying, hang out with your family. They are some of your strongest allies. That's the building that you need to be staying in, and you need to be hunting for family secrets, other family secrets, as well as your own family secrets, right here with the Five of Pentacles. So I'm seeing Adam being afraid, and both hopeful and afraid for some choices in his 20s. So once again, I'm not terribly concerned because he is such a cool individual who goes with his gut. And I see him going, like, he will continue to vibe high. It just feels kind of like that's what he's going to continue to do. I don't know. I have a feeling like he's going to continue to do that. So right now, he's got a variety of choices to select from. And I know that he's going to pick the right choice. But right now, it's a little bit of a butterfly pit in the stomach kind of situation. Like he sees this array of choices in front of him, because that's kind of like how the 20s are, to be honest, right? That's awesome if he feels that way. But I can see how he kind of like gets a little bit freaked out sometimes, just overwhelmed at all the options that he has. And it might be that he gets overwhelmed at all the things that he sees with these family channels once he starts to really pull them up. He says, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. What do I talk about first? I could be talking about all these things for days and I would not get through all of it. He's going to be live streaming 24 hours, 48 hours. That's not going to be enough, man. That's the Five of Cups, and it's in reverse. That's about having no regrets, saying, yeah, you know what? Blood was shed, blood was spilled, so to speak, okay? Entirely, what's the word? Figurative, entirely. But it's going to be a figurative bloodbath at some point once Adam really gets in there and starts talking about these kinds of things. If he does what Spirit tells him to do, hunts for information until Spirit says, this is it. Talk about this, right? It's going to be the kind of thing that makes him feel satisfied at the end of the day. He is going to be an older, sadder, wiser individual, as you saw by the end of that grand tableau. But he will have no regrets. He will sleep well at night, understanding that he did everything that he could, that he did what he was supposed to do, and that he fought for these kids when maybe they had nobody fighting for them. And Spirit says that's enough. Scene. Folks, I hope that you had a great 2022. I will see you in 2023 for more readings.